Greetings, happy coders. Welcome back to another video. We are back here with Asteroids RX, and we have a new game mode for you guys to enjoy. So let's just adjust the video a little bit so we get the full screen. And of course we have classic and we have deluxe mode. Now we also have a mode called RX mode. Now before I started developing Asteroids RX, I was working on another game which was similar to Asteroids, a kind of vector-based game with a similar ship, but it had a different control method in which you could move the ship around more freely, a little bit like a classic shooter. So you can go left, right, up, down, and it was a kind of hybrid between the Asteroids control and the classic shooter control. So it still had momentum, the ship still turned, but you could move it left, right, up and down, and it also then allowed you to strafe by holding down the fire button. So it's an auto fire and you can strafe, and that basically makes it play a little bit like Asteroids and a little bit like Robotron 2084, which is another big favorite of mine. All in all, that gives it a bit of a feeling of Geometry Wars, maybe a more modern game, but still a good one. And it's a little bit more intense. In order to kind of up the ante a little bit, I've made it so that the asteroids are not destroyed by a single shot. The big ones have to be hit 6 times, medium ones 4 times, small ones twice. And there's a lot more alien sources that put in an appearance. And just to add a little bit of extra spice, I've also done a kind of backdrop kind of overlay, let's say, rather than a backdrop. You know, like the old arcades, Space Invaders and so on had a color overlay, so it wasn't actually color, but it gave you a feeling of color. Well, that's what I've done here with a kind of circular rainbow effect that goes out. And let's take a look at that. So I'll fire up the game here straight away. Okay, so if you see, if I press left, the ship will turn left. If I press right, the ship will turn right. Easy enough. If I press up, it'll go up and down. So I can just move it left, right, up and down. It's a lot more maneuverable, as you can see, than the original. If I press fire, I've got an auto fire, but then what I can do with that is I can hold down fire, lock my ship into position, and then I can move it around to wherever I want and keep moving and keep the ship pointing in that direction. And if I want to shift over, I just let go of fire, move the ship, and then hold down fire again. So I crash and burn. So this makes it play in a similar way to a twin stick, really, but obviously with only one stick. I'm using keyboard here. I think this would be a lot more fun with a joystick, though, because it's really designed for that single button experience where you can just kind of, but you can also strafe and move around, and takes a little bit of getting used to if you are used to the traditional controls, but once you get used to them, it becomes quite intuitive and really quite an intense and fun experience that's quite a bit different to the original, but still has similar game rules, so it's still a lot of fun. And yeah, I've been really enjoying this mode. This is something that basically I had in my head when I was first starting, thinking about what a kind of game I would like to play, which would be a sort of mix between shoot 'em up like Robotron 2084 and Asteroids, and that's exactly what I've tried to do here, and hopefully in some ways have managed to achieve it. So yeah, the gameplay is essentially the same as Deluxe, so it's using the same model as Deluxe. We've got the killer satellite. I think that it's just a more intense game, really, isn't it, with that satellite that turns up. And this may well be a prototype for me to do another type of game in the future. Of course, I also wanted to add a next version, so we'll switch over to the next version now. Just one thing to add as well is that I'm using Fuse to show you this, and I'm using the 3x H quality high quality filter, which gives it that nice vector effect. So yeah, it doesn't really look like a Spectrum game at this point because of that filter, but it does look like a vector game, so that's why I quite like playing it in this mode. Alright, so before we switch over to the next, do take a moment to like and subscribe, it always helps. And great, let's go over there and take a look at that. Okay, so here I am, I'm running an emulator. This is C-Spect, of course, and it does have a few little clicks with the sound. My laptop is well past its sell-by date, and so I'm not sure quite how well this emulator runs, but it's enough for me to test it, and that's the main thing. Those of you that, of course, are lucky enough to have a real one won't have that problem. I'm sure you'll enjoy it. So with the next enhancements, what we've done there is, with a little bit of help from David Sapphire, we've added this arcade bezel. So when you choose different game modes, you've got a different bezel, and there was an alternative to Asteroids, which is this pattern here. So I've chosen that one for RX mode, and that, to be honest, is really the only difference for the next enhanced version at this point. Anyway, there may be some additions coming a little bit later. So it's essentially the same game. Incidentally, if you don't want the color, you can just tap enter and it will go back to the regular colors like this, and you can just play it that way. It will reset back to the colors when you start the game, but it's just a single click, so if for some reason you don't like those colors, then you can play it in the monochrome and you can choose whichever color you want like that too. Alright, so yeah, the gameplay here is a little bit jerky. It's just the emulator. As I said, my laptop is almost as old as I am, so anyway, that's it. More bullets as well, by the way, you can probably see there. Hope you liked the video. Hope you enjoyed the new additions, and I'll be back hopefully with some more news about Jetpack NX, the NX version of the next version of Jetpack that I've been working on, so you should be seeing more about that fairly soon. But in the meantime, as always, happy coding. Bye bye.